This is Crime and Coffee. Welcome back, crime aficionados, to another episode of Crime and Coffee. I'm Lisa, and I've got my usual large latte today. Frank, how about you?
Just black coffee for me today, Lisa. And I think you'll understand why as we dive into this case. It's a story that truly makes you question the nature of trust in our increasingly digital world.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing and a little unsettling. I'm already hooked. What chilling tale do you have brewing for us today?
Today, we're stepping into the shadowy realm of online deception, a place where romantic aspirations can turn into a living nightmare of extortion. We're talking about a case that shook the tech and business world, involving a powerful CEO and a cunning, calculated criminal who used the internet as her weapon.
A powerful CEO? That's not something you hear every day in a catfishing scheme. Usually it's everyday people falling victim. This already feels different.
It is different, Lisa. It highlights how no one, regardless of their status or wealth, is truly immune to the sophisticated tactics of online predators. Our story begins in the bustling borough of the Bronx, New York, with a woman named Sakoya Blackwood.
Imagine a world where connections are made with a swipe or a click. A world where anonymity can be a shield for the innocent, but also a potent disguise for the malicious. This is the landscape Sakoya Blackwood navigated with alarming precision. At 34 years old, she wasn't new to the digital world, but her use of it was far from conventional.
So, she wasn't just on dating apps looking for a date then?
Far from it. Blackwood wasn't interested in genuine connection. She was interested in leverage, in power, and in financial gain achieved through the manipulation of human desire. Her targets? Wealthy, high-profile men who, by the very nature of their positions, had a lot to lose.
And how does she find them? Was it through specific sites or just general social media?
The details are a bit murky on her initial targeting methods, but it's understood she employed multiple online identities across various platforms. These weren't just simple fake profiles. They were meticulously crafted personas designed to entice, to build a facade of intimacy and trust. The goal wasn't just to gain their affection, but to acquire something far more valuable, their most sensitive, private information.
The moment you share something intimate online, you're essentially handing over a weapon to someone you barely know. It's terrifying.
Precisely. And this is where the story of Victim 1, later identified as Adam Aron, the CEO of AMC Entertainment, comes into sharp focus. Aron, a prominent figure in the entertainment industry, found himself drawn into a digital interaction that would ultimately threaten to unravel his reputation and professional life.
Adam Aron, at 69 years old, was a seasoned executive, known for his direct engagement with AMC's apes, the passionate retail investors who rallied behind the company during challenging times. He was a public figure, someone who embraced the spotlight. But even a man accustomed to the public eye can fall prey to a carefully constructed illusion.
It just goes to show, it doesn't matter how successful or street smart you think you are. These con artists are truly masters of manipulation.
In March 2022, Sakoya Blackwood initiated contact with Aron. She adopted the online identity of Mia and sent him photos of a woman she presented as herself, a young, attractive Russian model.
A Russian model. Already a red flag for many, but I can see how someone might be flattered or intrigued.
Aron, it appears, mistakenly believed Mia to be someone from a past relationship, a ballerina with whom he shared unmentionable things. Blackwood, as Mia, did nothing to correct this misconception. In fact, she leaned into it, fostering this illusion of a rekindled, albeit digital, connection.
Wow. So she played into his own assumptions, his own memories. That's incredibly calculated. She didn't have to invent a whole backstory. She just had to let him fill in the blanks.
Exactly. Over a period of weeks, they exchanged messages. This wasn't a quick hit and run. It was a sustained campaign of digital courtship. And during this time, Aaron, believing he was communicating with this Mia, sent sexually explicit photographs and communications. These included pictures of himself and another woman.
Oh, no. That's the critical error, isn't it? That's where the power dynamic shifts completely.
It is, because once Blackwood had these intimate images, the facade of Mia began to crumble, replaced by something far more sinister. The friendly, alluring messages transformed into something chillingly transactional. The shift was insidious. Blackwood, now armed with highly compromising material, changed her tactics. She began sending Aaron a barrage of intimidating and threatening text messages. But she wasn't just Mia anymore. She diversified her digital arsenal.
What do you mean? Does she create more fake accounts?
Precisely. She orchestrated a terrifying symphony of deception. Aaron started receiving messages from new, fabricated personas. One was a supposed former boyfriend of Mia's, who claimed to have seen the explicit exchanges. Another was a fictitious Vanity Fair journalist, who also claimed to have access to the sensitive material.
So she wasn't just threatening him herself, she was creating a whole narrative, a whole world of people who supposedly had this information. That's next-level psychological warfare. It must have felt like the walls were closing in on him.
It was. The messages weren't vague. They were explicit. Blackwood demanded hundreds of thousands of dollars in hush money. The threats were clear. If he didn't pay, these sexually explicit photographs and communications would be released, not just to the public, but to the press, and perhaps most damagingly, to the AMC Board of Directors. At one point, she even texted him the unlisted cell phone numbers of 6 AMC directors to demonstrate how serious she was and how much she knew about his inner circle.
That's terrifying. It's not just about the money. It's about reputation, career, family, everything he'd built. The public humiliation alone would be immense.
Indeed. One message from the fake ex-boyfriend persona chillingly read, "Offers are coming in like crazy. People love a scandal." It was a direct psychological attack designed to induce panic and force compliance. This wasn't about fabricating an emergency for quick cash. It was about weaponizing deeply personal information for maximum leverage.
It truly highlights how vulnerable we can be online, even the most powerful among us. The level of detail and commitment to the deception is just astounding.
It underscores a significant evolution in online extortion. It's not just about romance scams anymore. It's about leveraging intimacy for blackmail. Faced with this devastating threat, Adam Aaron had a choice to make. He could have paid. Many would have, just to make it go away, to protect their privacy and their reputation. But Aaron made a different, incredibly brave decision.
He didn't pay, did he? That takes immense courage, especially when your entire public life is on the line.
He did not. Instead, Adam Aaron reported the matter to the FBI. This was a critical turning point. He knew he risked immense personal embarrassment by going public, but he chose to stand up against the blackmail. He engaged legal counsel and other professional advisors.
That's huge. Because how many people, especially those in high-profile positions, would be too ashamed or too fearful to come forward?
Exactly. His decision enabled a full federal investigation to begin. The FBI, specifically their Violent and Organized Crime Unit, took on the case.
they began to unravel Blackwood's intricate web of online identities and deceptive tactics.
So, what did the FBI find? How did they track her down?
The investigation would have involved tracing IP addresses, analyzing metadata from the messages, and likely employing digital forensics to unmask the real person behind the numerous online aliases. The details of the FBI's specific methods aren't entirely public, but what is clear is that their diligent work led them to Sakoya Blackwood in the Bronx.
And when was she finally arrested?
Sakoya Blackwood was arrested in August 2022 and presented in federal court in Manhattan. The 3-count indictment charging her with interstate communications with intent to extort, cyberstalking, and extortion was unsealed. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams publicly commended Aaron for coming forward, and FBI Assistant Director Michael J. Driscoll emphasized the deceptive nature of such schemes.
I can only imagine the relief Aaron must have felt when she was arrested, but also the dread of knowing the details might still come out.
He was asked by law enforcement to keep the matter confidential during the investigation and subsequent court case. It wasn't until October 2023, after Blackwood's sentencing, that Adam Aaron publicly revealed himself as Victim 1 in a post on X, formerly Twitter. He explained his rationale. Rather than give in to blackmail, I personally engaged counsel and other professional advisors and reported the matter to law enforcement. I did so knowing I risked personal embarrassment, but with my access to resources, if I did not stand up against blackmail, who could?
The unsealing of the indictment brought Sakoya Blackwood's alleged crimes into the public light. The legal process began, and the case was assigned to U.S. District Judge Jesse M. Furman.
So, what was the outcome? Did she go to trial or did she take a plea deal?
In March 2023, Sakoya Blackwood pleaded guilty to 1 count of cyberstalking. This was part of a plea agreement, and the other 2 counts she faced were dropped.
Cyberstalking. That really captures the essence of what she did beyond just trying to get money. It was about creating fear and using technology to harass and intimidate.
Absolutely. And then, in July 2023, Sakoya Blackwood was sentenced. The judge handed down a sentence of time served and supervised probation.
Time served and supervised probation for something that could have completely ruined someone's life and career? Does that feel adequate?
It's a question many might ask. The maximum sentences for the initial charges were 2 years for interstate communications with intent to extort and 5 years for cyberstalking. While time served can sometimes imply a significant period of pretrial detention, it often means the time spent in custody before the plea or sentencing. The probation component adds a layer of supervision and conditions to her freedom.
It sounds like the system recognized the severity of cyberstalking, but also potentially took into account factors like lack of prior serious offenses or cooperation.
It's difficult to say without knowing all the details of the plea negotiations and the judge's reasoning. However, the fact remains that a vigorous federal investigation took place and Blackwood was convicted of a felony. The case served as a very public warning about the dangers of online interactions.
And the importance of victims coming forward, that's a huge takeaway here.
Indeed, U.S. Attorney Williams and FBI Assistant Director Driscoll specifically encouraged any other potential victims of Blackwood's schemes to contact the FBI, suggesting they believed he had targeted others.
Frank, this case is it's a stark reminder of how fragile our sense of security can be online, especially when it comes to something as personal as relationships.
It truly is, Lisa. This isn't just a story about a crime. It's a modern parable about trust, vulnerability, and the evolving nature of criminal enterprise in the digital age.
What strikes me is the shift you mentioned earlier. It's not just about fabricating emergencies for money anymore. It's about cultivating intimacy, extracting highly sensitive data, and then weaponizing it. That feels far more insidious.
It's a calculated escalation. Scammers have always adapted, but this particular approach
focusing on reputational harm and public humiliation, preys on a very primal fear for public figures and even just individuals. It forces victims into an impossible choice: pay the blackmail and protect their privacy, or risk everything by exposing the crime.
And Adam Aaron's decision to report it to the FBI knowing the personal cost is really commendable. It takes guts. I wonder how many others have fallen victim to similar schemes and just paid up in silence.
We'll never know the true number, but Aaron's bravery definitely sheds light on the issue and hopefully encourages others. It emphasizes that while the internet offers incredible avenues for connection, it also creates new hunting grounds for those with malicious intent.
What lessons can listeners take away from the Sakoya Blackwood case, beyond just don't send explicit photos to strangers?
A crucial lesson is to be incredibly wary of any online relationship that moves too quickly, becomes overly intimate in a short period, or pressures you into sharing personal information or images. Always verify identities where possible. A reverse image search on photos sent to you can reveal if they're stock photos or belong to someone else. Also, be suspicious of anyone who avoids video calls or meeting in person.
So the classic advice still applies. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is, but it's layered now with this extra dimension of digital identity theft and blackmail.
Exactly. And for anyone, regardless of their public profile, who finds themselves in a situation like Adam Aaron, the most critical step is to not pay. Paying empowers the extorter and often leads to further demands. Instead, report it immediately to law enforcement, like the FBI. They have the resources and expertise to deal with these complex digital crimes.
It also makes me think about digital hygiene, as you called it. Even with people you think you know, the permanence of anything shared online is frightening. Once it's out there, it's out there.
That's a stark truth. The internet has no delete button. Even if something is taken down, copies can exist. This case is a powerful argument for extreme caution with what you share digitally, especially anything intimate or compromising. The risks are profound, and the consequences can be devastating, even if the perpetrator is ultimately caught.
It's a sobering thought, Frank. This case really pulls back the curtain on the dark side of our interconnected world.
It does, and it serves as a powerful reminder that while technology brings us closer, it also demands a heightened sense of vigilance and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Well, that was a truly gripping and frankly quite unsettling story, Frank. Thank you for bringing it to us.
My pleasure, Lisa. It's important to understand these evolving threats.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of Crime and Coffee. Remember to stay safe out there, both online and off.
And always be mindful of who you're truly connecting with.
Until next time, stay curious, stay aware.